This is Get Inspired with Dr. Barb. Hi, everyone. This is your host, Barbara Vocatus, host of Get Inspired with Dr. Barb. It's a fabulous show on innovation in education. I interview just incredible guests. Today, it is not a different day. We have two incredible ladies, Gayle and Amanda, and they are doing something absolutely amazing in the area of helping autistic children. Hello, ladies. So
Good
nice to
morning.
have you on the show.
Thanks for having us on, Barb.
You're very welcome. And I think probably the best approach today would be if you kind of introduce yourself a little bit before we talked about what your initiative is and your collaboration is about. If you could let us know a little bit, let the audience know a little bit about your background, that would be great.
Why don't you go first, Gayle?
Okay, my name is Gayle Knowles. I have been a dancer all my life. I am ADHD, so I am part of our world, and I have never been diagnosed, and I won't say how old I am, but I have not been diagnosed. But in reading and researching, I found so many parallels that I can't deny it. It's like, this is it. And I feel like our kids need the understanding of the world, and I'm trying to help them grow.
Wow. So, Gayle, yeah, attention deficit, and actually many children on the spectrum have attention deficit. And I don't think everybody even understands what that exactly is. We all think it's something to do with attention, right? But there is more to it, actually. I haven't even figured out until recently what that really entails. Dancing, how long ago did you start dancing? Like,
I
was it in
started dancing
childhood?
at I started dancing at 3.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's been my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've taught, I've performed, I've helped kids along the way. It's always been part of my life, and I can't see my life without it.
That's just amazing. I mean, it's
It's a
physical,
driving force.
and it's physical activity. It's just like connection to music, connection to movement. That's absolutely incredible.
It
I
keeps my
wish,
brain working.
exactly. And I wish, I mean, there is a lot of dancing going on for children, teenagers, because my child was involved with dancing for quite a bit. And then they kind of, phased out how what they do sometimes it's just going to stop, right? Because that's just one of the things they do. But I wish there was more dancing, there were more adults involved in dancing, more dancing opportunities, attention to it, because it's just kind of a natural movement. And so many people just kind of like neglect the movement, right? We know what happens.
Use it or lose it.
Yeah, well, I know, and somehow it's sort of so weird about human psychology. Like you know it, but you don't do it. So we can learn something from Gail. I think for many people, it's just movement is they associate with like some kind of horrible chore. You know what I mean? But when you make it pleasant, like dancing, that might not be a chore. That might be something that's also pleasant. Thank you so much. And Amanda, if you could tell us, I know that you are a teacher, but if you tell the audience a little bit more about yourself.
So, I'm Amanda. I was diagnosed with what was not on the spectrum, but was a form of autism back in the 80s. Back then, only classic autism was considered autism, and all of us who had a form of autism were not autistic. When people are like, we have so much more autism now, I'm like, yeah, because you brought all of us onto the spectrum. In fact, I was diagnosed with early onset infantile autism. Was not considered autism at the time.
Never
It
heard of
was
that even. Wow.
it was one of the so back in the 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s, all that, you know how academia can get. I think everyone was like, I want to discover a new form of autism.
Gosh.
So there were like I want to say it was like by the time we went to the spectrum, 435 different forms of autism. People just wanted their names on paper. So let's be honest.
That's
But
exactly.
I was considered late diagnosed for my ADHD. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was a preteen. Back then, that was considered a late diagnosis. I went through the therapies to become neurotypical. I went through the therapies where it was all about masking, all about if you want to be a friend, what you need to do is figure out exactly who they want as a friend and be that exact person. Don't be yourself, be them. And I would spend hours a week in therapy with them going, no, you can't have your own wants. You can't have your own desires. You can't have your own interests. You need to have their interest. I have friends, I use friends lightly because they didn't know the real me and they thought we were super close. And they meet me now and they're like, you're a totally different person. I'm like,
Oh my God.
no, this is me. The amount of them who are like, I didn't know you like science. And I'm like, trust me, that was always there.
This is amazing, Amanda, what you're saying, because I wasn't not neurodivergent as far as I know, right? I mean, that's how it is these days. We don't really know. We were not diagnosed, but unfortunately, I think to a certain extent, this idea that autistic children sometimes with their behaviors and interests are too annoying, it still really takes place in school. There are still schools, particular teachers who don't really understand that and think that these kids need to be reprimanded because they don't behave like others. And therefore, for some reason, this thought that how others behave, that's the norm. And that's what we actually all trying to figure out here. How to spread this awareness that it's not like that. If you really want to include autistic individuals, you have to embrace them the way they are. I mean, yes, sure, there will be some challenges and they need to work on themselves a little bit too, just like everybody else. But it's not about asking them to be someone different, right? This is really so wrong.
And that's not just in schools. That's one of the things you know, but your audience probably doesn't. I have a 14-year-old daughter who's also autistic, and she's the one who founded the studio because in dance studios, she had a lot of trouble with dance teachers understanding autism. They knew well, if you meet one autistic child, you've met one autistic child, but a lot of the things that they considered her misbehaving were traits of autism. Like she doesn't want to look someone in the eye. And they're like, well, then she's misbehaving. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's all the studies are showing if she's looking you in the eye, she's not listening to you. She's had a couple dance teachers and I laugh, but I shouldn't. But I mean, you're the mom of an autistic kid. Sometimes you just have to laugh at the stupidity of people.
Yeah.
She had dance teachers come up and go, I lectured her because she zoned out like she wasn't listening to me. And I'm like, you know, she has silent seizures. And they're like, oh, well, she wasn't on the floor seizing. And they were describing a silent seizure to me. And they're like, I lectured her over it. I'm like, okay. And they're like, well, I don't understand how I'm supposed to tell if it's a silent seizure. I'm like, welcome to our world. But if she's really not listening to you and she's woozy, it probably is a silent seizure and not her being disrespectful. She's got eye tracking issues, and she had one teacher tell me, well, if she just concentrated harder, her eyes wouldn't have eye tracking issues. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, could you go talk to her ophthalmologist about that? Because
I know. Try harder. You're not, yeah, it's just but again, I mean, this is old way of seeing people with autism. And what's incredible and sad that this way of seeing these individuals still occurs quite a bit. That's a big problem, right? I mean, I mean, how long ago did we diagnose the first autistic person? And I mean, this is already 2025. It's just amazing how it's still this thinking occurs. But ladies, how did you then start working together and collaborating together? And if you could tell our audience what the nature of this collaboration is, because this is something amazing. And I think this could be kind of like a supplemental, or maybe even more than that, activity provided in the school communities where when there's elementary school, but not only elementary schools. That's how I can see it, but maybe I'm wrong. And you are the best as far as telling me how that works too. And but first, just how did you started it? and what this collaboration really is about and what you see as the impact of it.
So, you want to take that one, Gail? Because you make it sound a lot funnier on how you got this roped into it.
Amanda and I met in a dance class. We were in a ballet class together and we started talking. And she was explaining to me some of the difficulties and hurdles that Lita was having and some of the items that she overcame in her life. And I thought, well, some of this clicks. Let's figure out what we can do to help the community and not label them and not make them feel less. We always want to make the kids feel more. And that's one of the big things about our studio. We don't tell anybody you can't do that. We tell them, yes, you may not be doing it the way I do it, but we are learning and we are growing. And that's the biggest thing for me, is that we help these kids reach their potentials. You don't have to be a dancer. People
And
move. People enjoy movement. It doesn't have to be a dancer. You can be a recreational dancer. You don't have to be a professional. You go as far as you want to go and do what you want to do.
And when we were putting this together, there are, laws around nonprofits on how many board members you can have. So Lita and I were trying to come up with a board. We asked Gail to come on the board, and I promised her it would only be 4 hours out of the entire year she would be involved in this. And things happened, and I'm like, hi, Gail, you get to take over as head of the studio portion of all this.
So we just need to tell our audience, just to make sure they understand. So it's a nonprofit organization right now, and its name is Autistic Wings. But the dance classes, dance studio, it's like a section of it, but actually a pretty important one. If you could
It's the
explain that
full
more.
part. Okay, so Autistic Wings Dance Company is just a dance studio.
Mm-hmm.
What we have done is most adaptive dance classes for autistic kids, they're usually for level 1 ASD. And their idea is you need to adapt to the class that they're teaching. And they only teach like creative movement. They don't do ballet, jazz, tap, hip hop. If you want to do that, you have to go in with the neurotypical kids. And some of these classes are getting to be 20 to 30 kids in a class. It's way too many for an autistic kid to
Mm-hmm.
learn in. You're getting lost. And like I said, the teachers don't understand. You aren't going to look them in the eye. I'm not looking you in the eye, and I'm 44. So what we've done is we have adapted instead of, and we do not use the term adaptive dance. And I've had to tell this to parents. I'm like, trust me, the community has a love-hate relationship with this. We've adapted the classes to the dancers, and our class sizes run from 1 dancer to 4 dancers. We do level 1, level 2, and level 3 ASD. We've got kids that communicate with AACs. We've got kids who communicate with ASL. I am not 100% sure because I only speak ASL, but one of our dancers, I think she's speaking the Mexican version of sign language with her family. I'm catching a few of the words and I'm like, okay, you're not speaking ASL, but it is one of the languages, which a lot of dance studios aren't capable of having an AAC in class because most dance teachers have never seen an AAC in their lifetime. And they're not where they speak ASL. There's been a couple times a parent has messed up an ASL sign and I'm having to leave because I know what they said or meant to say, and I know what they said. And I'm like, okay, that's funny if your 3-year-old says it, not so funny if the 30-year-old says it.
So so this is specifically designed, I mean, as far as how large the groups are, and they're not very large. And we know that autistic children, I mean, obviously it requires a little bit more attention. So the groups have to be smaller, but all children actually, in fact, benefit from more attention, and you're not going to be able to do it if you have a large group. For these classes, you only accept autistic children or anybody neurodivergent. Like who's the recipient who can come in and start dancing in those classes?
We are currently set up mostly for autistic kids, but if
Mhm.
you're ADHD, I mean, we've all seen the Venn diagrams. They probably overlap more than we think. But we do allow all neurodivergents in, who is not in because they have plenty of their own studios. We don't take neurotypical kids. And that
Mm-hmm.
is the one deal. There are studios set up for neurotypical learning. Some of our paperwork neurotypical parents don't understand. Like, we have a dance studio version of the IEP where I try to take all the good parts of the IEP, bring it into this dance
Yeah.
studio, and leave all the parts we all hate outside the studio. Our preschool parents have never been to an IEP meeting before, so I'm working with them on how to do it. But, by elementary, middle school, high school, and even our adult dancers are like, oh, yeah, I've seen an IEP before. I can fill this out. Because we don't stop at 18 either, which a lot of the autism activities stop at 18 or 21. My joke is we go from 3 to 99, and if you're 100, we will have a discussion, but I might need your doctor to give me a slip of paper saying that he's positive you are capable of dancing without hurting yourself.
So it's quite complex because, as you're saying, you have to have like sort of like an IEP version for the dance goals. So it's going to be more involved. And what's the age of children that who can participate in these activities? Is it like all grade levels, even into the high school?
All the way up to 99. We have adult classes.
That's awesome. And so these children, they are like bused after school, or the parents just have to bring them probably right to the studio, I would imagine.
Yeah, right now it's the parents bringing their kids to the studio. We are at a point at the studio where we can't add
Yeah.
any more classes. We are boxed in because we're renting from another studio. But we have been approached by the school systems to do something with their SPED programs. And my
Hmm.
problem is I just don't have the space. I need a new, larger studio space. So we're currently in a major fundraiser for that. But yeah, even the school system around here, we've got 4 different districts, and they're like, hey, you do older kids?
Hmm.
Can we bring our young adult 18, 20, 21 year olds to your facility for like a 6 week unit study? Can we bring our preschoolers over for a unit
Wow.
study? So we're working on, like I said, getting the larger space and then working with the school systems. We've also worked with one of the local colleges, came in, and one of their students, our first paper that was based off our studio is being published right now, which is really, I mean, I'm excited about it. I don't think
Congratulations.
I don't think the rest of the staff is as excited as the person who's come up through academia. They're all like, oh, a paper. Yeah.
Well, let me know so I can share also on my platforms because this is very exciting. And as we know, not everybody will share our excitement, but that's okay, right? We are adults, we can regulate that. I wonder if there would be any opportunities for the schools to provide the space. I mean, come on, they have space, right? It doesn't have to be you providing the space. It's not so simple for you to all of a sudden do it. Like you're saying, you're trying to do something with the fundraiser, but what about you going in or instructor into the school and doing a similar thing, but in their, they probably have classrooms and different things they don't even use. I mean, I don't know, but
Oh, to live in another state but Colorado. So we have this thing called Tabor that blocks us in on taxes, where we can't raise taxes without the population of the state raising taxes, and nobody wants to raise taxes. So currently we are actually cutting our school budget. This year, we cut our
yeah.
entire school budget by over $1 billion. Special education pretty much got gutted. Of course, it's the first thing to get gutted, right? And so, yeah,
So
they're
basically, the school is saying, without saying, I mean, we just can't afford it. So it's just like,
they can't afford the space, but they
right.
could afford to bring the kids over. They just can't. I don't think they can afford to heat and air condition some of the schools right now.
I wonder if they would be able to at least maybe help out with fundraising or different things like that, because this is really for the benefit of all autistic children in their community, all the kids who go to their school. Parents are involved too, and they could help out a little bit creatively, right? Because it takes a village. I mean, it's hard for you to do it on your own, obviously, but the idea of nonprofit, how did this happened really, and what was the
Lita.
purpose? Yeah, exactly. Lita, and we have to,
So
yeah.
it was Lita's idea because we started talking about how much money this costs because this is not cheap. Right now, at our current location, because we are limited on how many classes we can have, it costs me $290 an hour for each class.
Whoa.
For our kids who have to have private classes, that's over just over $1,200 a month it cost us for their private classes. Lita was very clear with the board when we started. She was like, we cannot price this outside of the price range where people can afford it. And we need to have no questions asked scholarships because dance should never be outside of someone's ability to do it. A lot of the dance studios, when they're talking about scholarships, they don't take into account autistic services are expensive. And so they're just looking at your paycheck and speech, occupational, physical, all the extra stuff that can take up 60 grand a year out of someone's paycheck.
So basically, the organization is really, the goal is to provide the dance lessons, and obviously, I mean, they're popular, and you even have schools interested in them, to provide this opportunity to as many autistic children as possible, because it's clear that it does something beneficial. And I would like to ask Gayle, I mean, because Gayle, do you also provide the lessons, or you just kind of like overseeing the, do you also teach the lessons?
I teach the lessons. We have other staff and we have teen helpers so that I can concentrate in class. But no, I'm on the ground. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, not figuratively, literally. If if a child needs help positioning their foot, I'm on the ground helping them.
Here comes
So,
Gail. I love it. But Gail,
yes,
I have to ask you, Gail, what do you see as the benefits of this? What do you hear directly? And both of you too, but maybe first, Gail, if you don't mind, what you hear from the kids. I mean, smaller kids, bigger kids, and their parents.
I find that the interaction is helping the kids grow. They come into the studio and maybe nonverbal. And by the time that we work with them a few weeks, they're starting to respond. I have one student that came in and he was nonverbal, wouldn't touch, wouldn't speak, anything. And now I go like this and he'll go and give me a high five. Well, a high one.
Yeah, it
But
counts
he's
as high five.
responding to me. His interpersonal relationships are growing and
Yeah.
it's helping the kids expand their horizons because I'm actually in there developing a relationship with them.
This
But
is up.
I am not a teacher that goes like this. I am a teacher that goes. My biggest thing with the classes is that I have to change. The kids don't have to adapt to my style. I adapt to them. So if they learn a certain way, if they're a visual learner or an audio learner, I try to find that. And in their IEPs, we go through that. How does your child learn? What can we do to help them expand their horizons? And that's what we do in class. And it may not be, okay, we are not doing ballet today. We are doing jazz
Mm-hmm.
because we want to try something different. Or I don't want to do tap. Okay, we just do ballet. We go in, and I am flexible enough with the kids that to help them learn, I have to adapt myself.
This is so pivotal to understand for everybody, for teachers. And that's why kids love it, because they feel that they've been heard, they've
Yes.
been understood, they've been heard. And I love this idea and your observation of how this is changing children's responsiveness. So they start to communicate a little bit more. It's maybe not like talking all of a sudden, but showing, using different signals. But it's just
Yep.
little by little, and it's developing, right?
When I was a student, my teacher sat in a chair and had a stick out the rhythm. That is how I learned. That's not me. I'm in there helping them. A lot of our kids don't like to be touched. So I will go and I will say, "Oh, I'm going to touch you. Is that okay?" I ask permission.
Mm-hmm.
I don't force anything on them. I don't make them look me in the eye. If they're having a silent seizure, we wait. We are calm. We don't get upset. I don't remember me ever getting upset with one of the kids in classes. The patience is what helps them the most. They come in and tell me things. I had one student come in and say, "She's going to be mad at me." And I'm like, "For what?" Because she didn't do it right. No. If you don't do it right, we do it again. Repetition is your friend. We do it many times, and by the end, they get it. So it's not a criticism. It is expanding their horizons.
It's absolutely amazing, and everything you're saying, this is something many teachers would benefit from, because it's really, I mean, it's understanding those children, but it really is respecting them. I mean, that's the whole truth. If you don't, if you the understanding and respect, because that's how they take it. If you rush them, if you don't have patience, if you're so like strict and sort of like harsh as a teacher, they think you don't respect them. That's really how it is. So how do you learn if you don't think the teacher respects you? It's just things that I find from my own child too, and really it's quite revealing. But isn't it like that with every kid? I mean, if they don't do something, if they're not doing as well, wouldn't you try to understand them what's going on first rather than assuming?
Well, that would be the logical thing to do.
Yeah.
I am really hoping, I think we've got probably about 15 more papers that I've got the early data for at the studio. And I think some of it, this is not, and I keep mentioning this to our staff and to some of our parents, this isn't just changing the autistic world. If people are willing to be open to this, I think how we're doing stuff could change education.
And this is absolutely extraordinary, what you just said. And our whole conversation really is leading to this statement. That's how I feel about it. And if you could elaborate a little bit more for our audience, what that means, that the data you have might really help in rethinking how we do the whole education, not just how we help autistic children.
So, one of the things that I think sets us apart from the other dance studios is my PhD's in science. So, I went and got a whole bunch of the science papers, went down a whole bunch of rabbit trails, and started looking at some of the science coming out of the evolutionary biologists and their opinions on dance. And I started bringing it into our teachers and going, hey, this is language, it looks like, and like its own, like dance is like an English.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, if we don't push it, if we're not forcing it, if we let it flow naturally, like we're teaching a 1 year old English, which Gayle was more than willing to try out, I think we can not only teach dance easier, but we're going to see what the evolutionary biologists are pontificating that they think exists, which is it's processed the exact same way as language, which is where we're starting to see, like Gayle said, we have that one child who was classified nonverbal, like Lita was, and like full nonverbal, non-receptive, non-expressive, and he is now doing things like 3-point dance turns on command, and his parents are all excited about it. I'm like, yeah, that is actually very exciting. But did you notice that he did it on command, which means he understood what Gayle just said?
Yeah.
We've got other things. Our dancers are learning at a faster rate than their neurotypical peers. I am curious as to why that is. I mean, what is it, because of how we're teaching it? Is it because of the smaller class sizes and smaller personalization? Or is it because we are doing things like I have had to, Gayle gets the fun part. She gets to work with the kids. I get to work with the parents.
but it's all working together. And
It,
I'm just wondering, because you mentioned, Amanda, that you ladies have some data too. Would you also
yeah,
consider possible interviewing parents and
I have
students?
one that I think you should interview. Her son's not completely verbal. He's the one Gayle's talking about. She currently is sick with a wisdom tooth issue. So as soon as she can talk again, I need to connect you to.
That's awesome, because I think that, thank you so much, because I think that, like, there, because you got some hypotheses, right? What's the case? Why this is working? And there might be a bunch of factors, but I think hearing from them, right, asking them and doing some also like a qualitative study too, because that would be really the case based on their interviews, what they say, why, right? What's the most helpful thing, or why do you like the dance classes? So it doesn't imply any kind of answer, right? Like, why do you like these dance classes? And I know that sometimes kids answer questions that will not give you any clue, but many times they do. Many times they do. It's the same exactly situation as us asking kids, well, what was the most fun, or what was the best part about, why did you like Carmel, my therapy dog, coming in, right? And you just find out all kinds of stuff. And I think that would be great, because you've got the participants right there. It's just a matter if they would agree with participations of the study in the study. I mean, some will, some won't, but maybe you will have all of them, because it really is based on the trust, right? People's participation in those studies. I know it's a convenient, but so-called convenient sample, but still, it's still, you
And
know.
it's definitely not just one thing, because that's what I've noticed. Like, we don't have a uniform. So if the kids cannot handle like tights and leotards, like Lita,
Gosh, that's true. Oh my gosh. Or like these costumes, some of them, because they got these artificial fabrics and they like itch your skin. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
and I've had to yell, not yell, I've had to have very direct conversations with parents because they're like, but they're in ballet, they're going to wear it. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm head of the studio. So I say they're not.
Oh my
And they're like,
God.
but I will get judged if they're not in ballet clothes. I'm like, by who? And do you care about them judging you right now?
Yeah,
Because no
because
one here,
I don't know, maybe they have a certain ballet look and they just like it. And it's like,
and no one in the studio is doing that. Even Lita, I mean, you know how mouthy she can get at times. She has gone up to a
she's
couple of
all
parents
soft.
going, no, no, we are not, we're going to judge you for making your kids go through a sensory issue. But
But
I mean,
many
you know
kids
how,
have sensory issues. Yeah.
and you know how hard it is being a parent. Me being autistic, when people started judging me for how she was, I was like, yeah, don't care. But most of these parents are coming from a neurotypical world. They're surrounded by neurotypical people, and they're like, oh, yeah, my kid's going to ballet. Or we've got one dancer who comes straight from class. And so he is in his school uniform for tap. And his mom's like, well, I mean, I don't want him judged. And it's like, is he fine? Yes. Then who cares?
That's right.
Or the kids will start stimming and the parents will be, because we're in the same room as the parents, we have an open studio right now. I cannot wait to move and move the parents out of the room.
Yeah.
And they're like, quit stimming. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if you're aware of this. Stimming is kind of important to autistic people. It's a way we regulate. And parents are like, oh, no one ever told me that.
So I mean, we just touched on so many things. Um if you had any kind of word of advice for, let's say, either a parent who would like to initiate something like that. Let's say there is nothing like that. There's no dance, but they just saw you on the podcast, right? And it's like, it would be cool to do something like that in our area, in our school district, right? What would be first step to start something like that, like a dance studio? I will be finding a dance teacher, obviously, right? But starting a dance studio and kind of like, you know, speaking about it with the school district, what would be the first point to do?
I don't know. Actually, we kind of stumbled into this. This was Lita and I getting mad at the same time, and the autism took over. I
Yeah.
think the first thing might be to just reach out to us and see. It's a lot of complicated. pieces moving at the same time, like anything working with autism.
Because you're not just talking about starting a dance class. That's probably relatively easy to do, but this is autism. So, Gail, so you are then an expert and specialist, not just in giving instruction, so to speak, right? Guidance in dancing, but it is for autistic children and teenager. So that's quite an expertise. And it's probably not very often, there are probably not that many people, I don't know, in your area or even like in this country who have this expertise. There's probably quite a few dance teachers, but from my experience, well, because my child had a dance teacher, I mean, everybody was in this class. My kid was autistic. There were some other kids with other types of issues or conditions, and the regular neurotypical ones. That's how it was running. The dance instructor was not an expert in teaching autistic children at all. I mean, she was very kind and very flexible. So that probably what made my kid like the lesson. However, I'm just thinking at what point my kids started to get not so interested in those lessons anymore because it was very strict as far as the type of music. And that's, I think, when because my child goes by they, them, lost the interest a little bit because started to be interested in different types of musics. And that's not what's promoted in the dance lessons. And therefore, I'm just not interested in this. So it only went as far. But in your experience, do you have children who, let's say, started when they were, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years old, and now they are in high school and they still doing the dance? Do you have people like that?
We have people like that, but even in the neurotypical world, the kids lose interest.
Mm-hmm.
They get into cheerleading or they get into whatever. Their interests vary. We tend to do music that you touched on the music thing. We tend to do music that the kids like. One of our kids loves Sing, the movie Sing.
Mm-hmm.
So we play that for his class.
Yeah.
One of the kids, what is it called? Musical theater. Wants Broadway stuff. One of the kids wants Ella Fitzgerald. So we use the music that they like. I don't say it has to be Chopin, it has to be Debussy, that doesn't work. We use music that invites the kids to dance. Whatever makes them want to move is what we use.
I love that. It's not they came and I'm just instructing here, okay, another lesson, another hour. My role is to invite these children to dance, to wanting to dance. And I think this is just so important. When you think about it, this is what would be very useful for every teacher to hear. I am inviting them to learn something or have fun, right? Or both, learn and have fun and
Well,
be
learning is
entertained.
fun, or can be. That's the thing we try to do. We try to make learning fun for these kids. It is not a chore to come to class. It is something they enjoy doing, and we encourage that. We want them, if they want to skip around the circle, they skip around the circle. So and then we expand that into being a chasse. We start out step together, then we slide and we jump and we have, squares on the floor and they jump in and out. They play bunny rabbit. It's like
This is
or T or
so cool.
T-Rex,
She gets
whichever.
the fun part.
But
Yeah,
also Gail is learning from these kids because they
definitely.
use their creativity. So this is absolutely amazing. I mean, obviously we could talk about this forever, but next time we can always set up another time, ladies, because you're just wonderful and what you're doing is incredible. What would be your, let's say, parting words for parents and teachers to hear from you today?
You
Go,
go first,
Amanda.
Gail.
You want me to go first? Don't blame yourself. Let the kids develop at their own rate and don't feel guilty because there's nothing to be guilty for. These kids are not broken.
Right.
They just learn differently. And once we find that key and turn that key, they will soar.
I mean, mine's the usual quit judging yourself, parents. You don't need to judge yourself. You're doing just fine. Your kids are perfect the way they are. They may be a little different than their neurotypical peers, but trust me, their neurotypical peers are probably annoying their parents about the time they get to teenage years.
They do. That's absolutely amazing. What a wonderful message. It was so great to have you today on Get Inspired with Dr. Barb. Thank you so much, Gail and Amanda.
Thanks for
And
having us on.
you're welcome. And our wonderful audience, make sure to tune into the episode, to follow Get Inspired with Dr. Barb on where we are, which is on Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube. Share the episode because I think this is something so very important in our attempt to do something for the whole society, really, actually, because it's not just doing something better for autistic children. It really is going to be so beneficial for all of us. And there are some ways of doing it. And today we just talked about one of those incredible ways, and it was just absolutely wonderful to hear it. Again, share about the episode and connect with these wonderful ladies. If you could just briefly tell us, Gail and Amanda, where you can be followed on social media.
I have social media, but I'm so busy taking care of Lita's and the studios that I never pay attention to my socials.
But you are there, so
yeah. I think it's on Instagram. It's AN Trisdale. You can tell how often I get on.
We can also share those like handles and then
yeah.
even
So the studio, you can follow us at Autistic Wings Dance Company on everything except for TikTok, where it's just Autistic Wings Dance. You can also follow, a lot of times we have updates on Lita's Instagram, which is Lita's Tap Styles.
Mm-hmm.
We've also got the website if you're interested in getting a newsletter. I try to get those out once a month. It depends on how crazy I am because I'm the only back office staff by myself. Just go to the website, www.autisticwingsdancecompany.org. If you're interested in talking about seeing if we can expand this out to your area, contact us at info@autisticwingsdancecompany.org.
Thank you so much. Gail, would you mention any of your social media accounts if you have something public?
I am on Facebook, Instagram. I don't do TikTok, so
I don't either. Don't worry. I don't either. It's like one more platform, and I don't know. I'll be out. Can't do it. My kid is on TikTok, but I'm just like, no, I'm just not going to add another one. It's just, I'm maxed out pretty much.
I can understand that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, wonderful ladies. See you both on social media, and thank you, our wonderful audience. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you for having.
This is Get Inspired with Dr. Barb.